How big of a hexproof creature can you build in Modern on a $100 budget? Let's play some Bogles and try to find out. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Budget Magic. And this week, we are heading to Modern to do some Bogglesing, some $100, technically I guess, like $120 Bogles. And if you've never seen Bogles before, it's a pretty unique archetype. We're just hoping to play a 1-mana 1/1 hexproof common, and then load it up with an absurd amount of auras and smash our opponent to death with it, since our opponent can't really interact with it thanks to hexproof. So let's talk about our budget Bogles deck, what it's trying to do, jump into a Modern League, see the deck in action. So the two key cards in this deck are Bogles, Slippery Boggle, Glade Cover Scout. They're essentially the same card, 1-mana 1/1 hexproofers, and we really need one of these cards in our opening hand, to the point where we will mulligan down to at least 5 to find one of these cards. Please don't keep hands without a Boggle, because without a Boggle, we don't have anything to put all of our auras on, and most of our deck is auras that we want to be putting on the Bogles. So these cards are big threats. We also have one other creature, Lightpaw Emperor's Voice, which is kind of unique. So Lightpaws doesn't have any protection, no hexproof or anything, but it does work well in a deck with a lot of auras, because whenever an aura enters the battlefield, we can search our library for another aura, one that we don't already have on the battlefield, of equal or lesser mana value, and put it onto Lightpaws. So essentially, if we put an aura on our Slippery Boggle, we get a bonus aura on our Lightpaws, kind of like Aura Amonicon in a weird way. So those are our creatures, and then we have one of the reasons we're playing this deck right now. So Bogles has existed in Modern for a long time. Like, it's been an archetype that sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but the plan of playing cheap hexproof creatures and loading them up, it's existed for almost as long as Modern has existed. But we got a huge upgrade to this deck in Duskmourn. Actually, if you look at the prices of our deck, the most expensive card in our deck is a Duskmourn uncommon, Sheltered by Ghosts. And Sheltered by Ghosts is so perfect for this deck. It's an aura, so it works with all of our synergies. It is removal, which is really surprising. We've never had such a good aura that works as removal before. And then it also gives lifelink, and it pumps our creature. It's like absolutely perfect for what this deck's trying to do. So this is our big new addition. Then we also have just a ton more auras. So we have Daybreak Coronet, which is kind of like another Sheltered by Ghosts. We don't get the removal, but it's an aura that gives a big boost of power and toughness, +3/+3, and it gives lifelink and first strike and vigilance. Our best finishing aura is actually Ethereal Armor. It just gives +1/+1 for each enchantment we control in first strike. So this is often 1 mana, give like +4/+4, +5/+5. Rancor Audacity Griffspoon, also Spirit Mana, and even Alpha Authority to some extent. These are our evasion auras. So building a massive Boggle is pretty sweet, but if we just load up with Ethereal Armors and Daybreak Coronets, our opponent can still just chump block our Boggle with a 1/1 forever. But once we get a Rancor or a Griffspoon to get trampled or flying, then we can close out the game super quick. Hyena Umbra, even more protection, like Wrath protection, is Totem Armor. So if the creature that's wearing it dies, instead of losing the creature, we lose the aura instead. Shard Mage's Rescue probably looks weird because it's just a hexproof aura. Why do we need that if we already got all these hexproof creatures? But it's really good with Lightpaws. We can play Lightpaws for 2 mana, Shard Mage Rescue to protect it, and also tutor out another aura. And then Cartouche Solidarity makes a 1/1 when it enters. So this is basically Edict fodder. If we're worried about a Liliana or some Edict getting rid of our Boggle that we're throwing all the auras on, we can make this throwaway 1/1 token and just sack that to the aura instead. Also worth mentioning, all the random one-offs like Cartouche, Shard Mage's Rescue, Spirit Mana, Alpha Authority, Audacity, those all work really well with Lightpaws, because remember, Lightpaws can't tutor out auras if we already have one of those auras. So all these one-ofs make sure that Lightpaws is always going to have something good to tutor out if we have a chance to use it. The mana base, this is where you can kind of see the budget aspect of the deck. Super functional. All of our lands come into play untapped. Most of them are dual lands, but definitely no fetches or shocks here. Just a bunch of cheap mana fixing lands. In the sideboard, we get a bunch more ways to protect our Boggles. Veil of Summer, Leyline of Sanctity, mostly protect against discard and edicts. Collector Roof, good against artifact decks. Gaddock Teague, good against Splinter Twin, I guess. Anything that's casting high mana value non-creature spells or X spells. Leyline of the Void for graveyard decks. And that is Boggles on a budget for Modern. That's our deck for today. So let's jump into a league and see if Boggles can work in 2025 Modern on a $100-ish budget, thanks in part to the power of Sheltered by Ghosts. Thanks for watching, everyone. Enjoy the gameplay, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap-up. Need some magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. Want to help out the channel? Well, you can snag these super sweet new dice, playmats, tokens, and more over at mtggoldfishmerch.com. Budget magic time. We are bogglesing on a budget. We're going to keep this. I mean, we got a boggle. We got things to put on the boggle. Could use another land, but don't thought seize us, please. Young? Oh, all right. Well, opponent, gonna be comboing, I think. Looks like Yogg combo, light pause, good card. Well, let's slippery boggle. Go. Can we race Yogg combo? That is the question. If we draw another land, we can Rancor Hyena Umbra and at least start getting in some damages. Not a land. Well, okay, so let's ouch Hyena Umbra. And, I mean, we might as well go attacking, right? Even if they flash into Bowmasters, we still don't lose a boggle. Not hitting a land, though, is kind of rough. We only have a 2-2. Giving our opponent a lot of time to get their Yogg set up. Opponent gonna grab a Surveil land, but Young Wolf is obvious. Ooh, Soul Cauldron milled. Young Wolf means obviously Yogg, right? You don't play Young Wolf in any deck outside of Yawgmoth combo. Light Pause is pretty sweet. I don't think it's gonna be good this game, but opponent Shifting Woodlands. So next turn we can Rancor hit for 4. Ugh, but opponent's up to 3 mana, which means Yogg's a coming. I don't think this Young Wolf's realistically going to be a good blocker anyway. We just need to be dumping our hand faster. That's a big concern. With one land, we're kind of playing one thing a turn, and we can't build a big enough boggle casting one enchantment a turn. We really need to be able to cast multiple enchantments in a turn, or like get to this light pause maybe. All right, opponent passes, we do draw a land, which is good. So we can play the brush land. We can play the, I don't think we can light pause. So I think we do it like this. Let's play the Rancor on the boggle. And man, we were taking so much damage off our mana base. Hyena Umbra number 2. I mean, that's a pretty big slippery boggle. Getting in there. Opponent gonna do some chumping. And Cord. Okay, Cord of Calling X1. Ooh, so this might just be the win. Like if our opponent has Yogg in hand, then they should just win here. I mean, so I guess they don't have a finisher, so they can draw a ton of cards, but I guess actually maybe Yogg doesn't just win here. Because we can put the Spirit Mantle on the slippery boggle to get through blockers. So if our opponent goes too low on life from the Yogg, then we kind of just win. We need like 2 more turns. I don't know if we can get 2 more turns. Waller is for our opponent. Passing. So I think they had Yogg, but not the mana. All right, well, this is all we got. So ouch, 1 and 2 Spirit Mantle, protection from creatures, hit you for 6. See if we're alive. So with our opponent adding more bodies to the battlefield, especially this Wall of Roots, Yogg is more likely to be lethal because they can probably Cord for a Blood Artist. Yeah, they're gonna Cord for a Blood Artist and then play the Yogg. Maybe not. Obelisk Spider. Okay, so they're gonna get a combo piece instead. This is essentially a Blood Artist. And then Yogg, and all right, so since Obelisk Spider, when they put a counter on something, they drain for 1. That is actually just straight up lethal. Oh, close! We needed 1 more turn, and we did not quite get there. Obelisk Spider, each opponent loses life. I was wondering if Leyline of Sanctity actually would help us there, but apparently not. I mean, I guess we could bring in the Leylines. So Leyline of the Void stops our opponent from going infinite. Leyline of Sanctity stops our opponent from targeting us. I guess we just go Leyline of the Voids. So go up the Leyline of the Voids. Maybe like the Cartouche. We have all these 1-ofs because of Light Pause. That's the main upside. Can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. All right, let's go down the Alpha Authority. I guess a Sentinelize. Actually, Shardmage Rescue probably worse. Let's try it like that. We're on the play, which is good. Do we have a boggle? We do. And a Leyline. Okay, this hand's actually very good. All right, we like this hand. We will keep. So we get to start with a Leyline. We have a boggle. We have more than 1 land, and we actually have Ethereal Armor, which is going to make our clock much faster than last game. So start with the Leyline to slow our opponent down a smidge. Forest and get down Slippery Boggle. So if you decide to play budget boggles, you gotta have a boggle in your opening hand if you're keeping. Do not keep a hand without a boggle. I mean, if you're at 4 or something, after mulliganing a bunch, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, but like never keep a 6 or a 7 without a boggle. Well, let's get this clock going. So we're going to play a Brushland. We are going to play Rancor. We're going to play Ethereal Armor. And Sixia, and this is the kind of start we want to see. Down to 14. Can't touch it. Nee. Nah. That is upside of Bogles, right? You can't touch them. And a delighted halfling for our opponent. Can we win the race? That is the question. Opponent. Oh boy, another one. Ethereal armor and slippery boggle number 2 as edict fodder. And hit you for 11. And we might be good this time. Found it down to 3. All right, opponent. Can you stop Mishore Slippery? What even kind of creature is Slippery Boggle? I know it's a beast, but it's a beast with like 2 arms that's got its tongue. I have no idea what this card is actually supposed to be. If you know what a Slippery Boggle is, let me know in the comments. I might go as a Slippery Boggle next Halloween. Stick the tongue out the whole time. About it. Are we dead? Green Sun for 2 for Outland Liberator. So that can let our opponent blow up one of the ethereal armors, or I guess the Rancor to get rid of Trample. We draw a Razorverge Thicket. Well, we are going to play the Razorverge Thicket. We're going to Hyena Umbra, the second Slippery Boggle. We're going to go to combat. This does mean they lose the Wall of Roots, right? Oh, they can sack the treasure, I guess, to avoid losing the Wall of Roots. We get the Rancor back for next turn, though, and our opponent still can't combo with this ley line up. They had to spend their ley line removal on the Rancor, which is good for us. Maybe we should have run the Rancor out right away. The reason to hold it is late pause. Opponent finds a Yogg. Thankfully, you cannot touch our Slippery Boggles with Yogg counters. Opponent goes up to 4. Ooh, another ethereal armor. Okay, that's not bad. So we will Rancor up the big Slippery Boggle. I think we should win here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They could cord for 2, but they wouldn't have any mana left over. I think we just throw the ethereal armor on the same one. Just make this Slippery Boggle as big as possible. It's got trample. It's a 21-19. It's got all the ethereal armors. All right, opponent. Thankfully not a human, so Yogg does not have protection. Cords, X2. Is there actually something that Hapatra. This doesn't save our opponent though, right? So opponent makes a snake. So he can combo, but they're not, I don't know how they do anything from here. So they can draw their deck, but they have 21 trample damage going at them. Can they like make enough snakes to cord for another answer? They're also out of mana. Opponent sacks and draws and stays at 4. But what is this leading to? Like, they're life neutral, right? So they have the Prosperous Innkeeper, so they gain back a life when they spend the life, but they're not gaining life. So it's not like they can just gain enough life. I think our opponent's just, making game actions because they can. Okay. Opponent's gonna draw some cards, and sack their board, and take a Slippery Boggle to the face, and okay, that went pretty well. Is there any argument for Gaddock Teague? So our opponent, theoretically, should be taking out their removal, right? Because I haven't seen anything they can kill with their removal. Gaddock Teague shuts down Cord. It's probably not worth it. Let's just run it back. We're even a little Thoughtseize proof with 2 Boggles this hand, which is nice being on the draw. Opponent, Verdant Catacombs, and gonna crack it. The question is gonna be, are we fast enough being on the draw? Because we don't really disrupt our opponent's combo. So are we? Ooh, Sheltered by Ghosts. Okay, maybe we do disrupt their combo a little bit. Well, we're gonna lead on Slippery Boggle, even though it's exactly the same as Gladecover Scout, just because, I mean, who doesn't love that little guy? Gladecover Scout, I'm sorry, you're just not as cool as Slippery Boggle. I don't know what to tell you. Grabs a Schwamp and Malevolent Rumble. Gonna find Egg of the Soul Cauldron or land. Takes the Soul Cauldron. Yeah, that's a little frightening. A little bit scary. Force of Vigor Milled. Good to know about that. Now let's see what we draw. Ethereal Armor. Well, play the land. Gladecover Scout. Play Ethereal Armor. And opponent gonna take it. The challenge we have with our removal, and Shelter by Ghosts is like one of the biggest reasons we're playing this deck. Another Malevolent Rumble. But a lot of our opponent's stuff, wow, all spells in one land. A lot of our opponent's stuff can come into play at instant speed, which is kind of annoying. It makes it harder for us to like snipe a Yogg or something. Opponent thinking about sacking a spawn. Sacks a spawn. Just kidding. That poor spawn. They can't cord. All right. Oh, they must have a Bowmaster. That makes the most sense. Well, play Horizon Canopy. Play a Sheltered by Ghosts on the Slippery Boggle. Get rid of the Young Wolf. Oh, the question is, can we realistically attack here? I'm worried about a Force of Vigor. Ethereal Armor. So if they force a vigor, they pitch a green card, blow up ethereal armor, flash in the bowmasters, block the boggle, get back their young wolf. It's such a blowout. But it's probably going to be a blowout. Yeah, we just got to attack. It's going to be a blowout forever. If you got it, you got it. Like, it's not like it's not going to be a blowout next turn. Opponent. Okay, this is fine. Opponent blocks. They can sack to fizzle the life gain. Besieges. Well, we'll grab a plains. So the Sheltered by Ghost is down for now, unfortunately. Opponent takes 0. Well, I mean, let's play the Griff Spoon. Hope we don't die this turn, but it's not impossible that we die. Unlikely, I would say. 2 turns from now, death is pretty likely. This turn, not as likely. Opponent gonna crack the Misty. All right, just a Surveil land. That's good news. Keeps it on top. Delighted Halfling. Agatha Soul Cauldron. Although no creatures of note in the graveyard. All right, maybe we're okay, opponent. Getting in with the Young Wolf, hitting us. I mean, we get a pretty good attack this turn. Oh, Daybreak. Wait, can we win this turn? Is there any way we win? So this is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, I think we do win. Hopefully. So Sheltered by Ghosts. They still could have enchantment removal, but we're gonna Sheltered by Ghosts. We're gonna get rid of the Young Wolf again. And then, well, let's see if they have it. I don't think they do, though. They would have played it last turn. Daybreak Coronet. And that's 16. And Flying. And Lifelink. And Vigilance. And Ward. That isn't that about it. Okay, taking down Yogg. Slippery Boggle coming through. Opponent. Drawing their next cards, wondering where their Yogg is, presumably. Well, okay. Budget Boggles time. In Modern. Ooh. Can we keep a Light Paws hand? So the normal rule of this deck is you only keep a hand if it's got a Boggle. Does Light Paws count? So turn 1, we do nothing. Turn 2, we probably do nothing. Turn 3, we Light Paws. I think we mulligan it. I think we need a Boggle. All right. Well, we found a Boggle. Actually, we found a pretty good hand. That is a pretty good hand. We're going to put Slippery Boggle to the bottom. In theory, we should only need 1. Well, okay. Our buddy's back. Slippery Boggle, go. Concealed Courtyard. And Ether Vial. They're probably going to be able to have answers to our enchantments, which I don't like. Let's put this on white. Ethereal Armor. And Rancor. And 5-ya. So I think this is the black-white blink deck that has sort of taken off lately. It's kind of like black-white taxes with Thalia to kind of like blink your stuff. I don't know how this goes. I'm pretty sure they have main deck like Skyclave Apparition, so they're gonna have ways to answer our enchantments. They shouldn't be able to interact directly with the Boggles still. Can't touch it. There is something that's it just feels good, right? To have a Boggle out and know your opponent's removal. As much as they want to kill it, they just can't. It's annoying if you're the opponent with the removal. Like Ganja, that's not going to kill my Boggle. We're going to cast some auras and do some attacking. We draw a Forest. Well, that's Griff Spoon, the Slippery Boggle. And Sentinel's Eyes, the Slippery Boggle. Do a little attacking, see what our opponent's got. First strike, Flying Tribal Vigilance, 9-6 attacking here on turn 3. About it. All right, down to 6. Well, I mean, this is the turn. Our opponent needs to do some answering about it. There's the Thalia. So if our opponent can play like a Skyclave, bounce the Skyclave, they can exile one of our enchantments, but it's just going to come back anyway. So I need like something that can blow up or exile an enchantment, and then they can blink it, do it twice, get rid of like Ethereal Armor, Griff Spoon, and then we need a top deck or our opponent's kind of stabilized. The good news is if our opponent does not have that, we should be able to just win next turn. Maybe. Okay. Witch Blessed Meadow. Wow. Opponent had the Witch Enchanter, not enough mana though. Do you have the Skyclave? Oh, they do. Oh, they have a Flicker Wisp. Okay. They're gonna, oh, wow, what a turn! About it. Flickers out the MDFC. It's going to come back as a Witch Enchanter to blow up the Ethereal Armor. And I think that might let our opponent do it. Wow, what a turn. Yeah, now I'm not sure we can actually get in lethal. Actually, maybe we still can. No. Oh, this is even worse because now they can attack with the Thalia. Blink the Flicker Wisp. The Flicker Wisp will come in end step and it'll get rid of something for our entire next turn. Opponent, gonna go attacking. Gonna blink the Flicker Wisp. Wow, so they actually are going to be able to double Witch Enchanter here, which means we're going to need to top deck something, or our opponent actually found a way out of this. Oh no, that was a turn. That was a turn for our opponent, my goodness. I mean, that's what they needed. We didn't have the MDFC Flicker Wisp line on our radar, but they needed double enchantment removal, and they found double enchantment removal. So they get back the Witch Enchanter. I assume you blow up the Ethereal Armor. You get back the Flicker Wisp, which can flicker out something on our side for the turn. The Rancor. Well, we need a top deck. We need an enchantment to put on this Slippery Boggle. Right now off the top, Magic Gods, Hyena Umbra. Okay. Well, that's good enough that it lets us attack and makes our opponent block with the Flicker Wisp. Not good enough to win us the game. Opponent. White Orchid Phantom to blow up one of our lands. Well, we'll grab another Plains. Opponent still can't really block profitably. And we are going to get our Rancor back. So our opponent kind of still needs something. Flicker Wisp down. Well, we're going to hold on to this Forest. Get back our Rancor. All right, let's see if our opponent can find another set of answers. Pound it. They get to take up the Vial. I'm still very worried about. More Flicker Wisps are bad. Skyclave, very bad for us. Oh, we need one clean attack. One attack. Opponent takes up the Vial of 3. 4 cards in hand. Well, if our opponent does that double Witch Enchanter line and we still live and end up winning this game, that would actually be pretty impressive. Because that was about the best answer our opponent, I think, could realistically have to what we're doing. The Hyena Umbra is nice. That does reduce the risk. Because one of the risks is they can like vial in something to get rid of something and then be able to trade with the Slippery Boggle. Theoretically, the Hyena Umbra helps there. Opponent's passing. We draw nothingness. Well, let's play this Forest. I mean, we got to attack, right? There's no not attack. So how does this go wrong? We attack. Our opponent has Vial on 3s for Flicker Wisp or Skyclave. They put it into play. They eat the Hyena Umbra. They die. They eat the Rancor. They can chump block. They need the Griff Spoon. Yeah, all right. I think we got to just attack. Hopefully, even if they have something, it doesn't lead to us losing Slippery Boggle, but we got to get in there. All right, Slippery Boggle, attack. Let's see what that Vial says. Vial on 3 taps it for a Skyclave. Okay, to get rid of what? Gonna get rid of the Rancor, so no more Trample. We still have Flying, though. Oh, if they have Ephemerate, that's real bad. Skyclave plus Ephemerate is, yeah, that probably beats us. Then they can blink the Skyclave, get rid of the Griff Spoon. So opponent's going to block with the White Orchid Phantom. And now they're going to Ephemerate the Witch Enchanter. Our opponent definitely had the right cards for this matchup. And I think that's just game now. I mean, we'll stick it out for a couple of turns. But I'm pretty confident that that is just game. Because we don't even have a creature. We don't have anything. Oh... Our opponent needed the exact right. I mean, that's what their deck wants to do. That's what their deck wants to do. This might be a tough matchup for us. Having a bunch of main deck enchantment destruction and ways to blink it is just most decks. The upside of Bogles, right, is a lot of decks just cannot interact with what we're doing. I think our opponent's deck is one of the biggest exceptions to that rule because they just have a million main deck ways to interact with our enchantments. And they have ways to reuse them, like the Ephemerates and the Phalias. Found it, Flooded Strand. 2 cards in hand, but we need something that is akin to a miracle here to have any shot. Pound it. Overlord of the Baelmerk. Ooh, what does our sideboard have that's even good against this? This might just be a tough matchup. Opponent's going to get a Bowmaster. Bowmaster is not super relevant against us. Oh, gets the Flicker Wisp. I guess that also makes sense. Opponent gonna go. Yeah, I think we can. We'll draw one more card and then we're gonna scoop it up with the Flicker Wisp. Even if we draw something, we're not really drawing something because I can just Flicker Wisp it away. Hyena Umbra. Yeah. All right. I mean, all right. Well, no early scoop. We'll give it another turn. I guess the reason, like, how could we theoretically get back in this game? The answer is, wow, opponent. Flicker Wisp. Gonna blink the bail. All right. Yeah, now we definitely don't get back in the game. Sure. Veil of Summer doesn't do anything. Collector Roof. Gaddock Teague. Leyline. Yeah, I mean, we just gotta run it back. Like, none of our sideboard cards do anything. So I guess we just gotta hope to get lucky. Yeah, a deck that's just overflowing with main deck enchantment removal is not going to be our best matchup. It gets around the one thing that our deck is its biggest upside, right? Is it's just so hard to interact with for most decks. But our opponent's deck does not have that issue. All right, we get to play first, which is good. Well, no Boggle. All right. I mean, this has a Boggle. and it's relatively fast. I mean, our best bet is probably just to, like, pressure. I think we put the Light Paws to the bottom. I think we put the Light Paws is very explosive, but I think we turn 1 Slippery Boggle, turn 2 Ranker Griffspoon, turn 3 Daybait Coronet. Opponent's going to 5. They're trying to find their answers. If you want to know our opponent's deck, it's something similar to this. They have an Overlord of the Bailmerk, which is slightly different, but it's something very similar to what we're seeing here. Ah, there's Overlord of the Bailmerk. So it's something very similar to this. Oh, Wrath of the Skies. That is also a blowout. Well, Razorverge Thicket and Slippery Boggle. Doing what the deck came here to do. Go. All right, Slips. You can do it. About it, Blades. And no Ether Vial's nice. They're going to have to play fairly this game. Hard to keep a Vial on the big mulligan. Well, we will play a Rancor. And we will play a Griffspoon. Down to 16. So next turn we can Daybreak Coronet. Oh, it's going to be close. Opponent, Plains, and we draw Plains. Well, let's play the Plains. Daybreak Coronet. We need one more enchantment to theoretically have lethal next turn. Opponent drops to 9. There's the Thalia. Well, let's see if they can do the thing. Skyclave Thalia might have been what they're mulliganing for. They did start with 5 cards, so they can't have everything, right? Hopefully. If we don't draw an enchantment, we can also sack a Horizon Canopy to get another draw out of it. Opponent, combat. Pass it. All right, come on, deck. Come on, deck. Come on, deck. That's not it. Sack the Horizon Canopy. Draw a card. Oh, no. Well, play another Horizon Canopy. Go to combat. Oh, no. That was our window. Ooh, 6 lands. 6 lands is a lot for us. Well, pass the turn. Oh, I'm not feeling good now, though. I feel like if they draw a land here, we lose. Because that turns on the Skyclaves. That turns on Flicker Wisp. If they don't draw a land, then I think we might get there. Maybe. Opponent attacking with Thalia. You're going to blink out the Daybreak Coronet for the moment. Okay. Well, we will not block. Down to 31. You got us, pupper. Oh, they found the land, too. Wow. Gets a swamp. Oh my goodness! Oh no! Oh no! Not like this. Yeah, Daybreak Coronet goes away forever. Creature? No. Oh, that turn where we drew those 6 lands and cracked all of our Horizon Canopies to draw lands. We needed to win before our opponent drew land number 3. I feel like odds are. Oh, man. If we played this game out 100 times, I think we win like 80 or 90 of them. But this is going to be the 10 or 20% where we just hit all those lands in a row and get max punished by a sideboard Wrath of the Skies. Well, okay, opponent. You're going to start doing things. Flicker Wisp, why not? And now our opponent's just kind of got it locked in, right? So even if we draw a creature, Thalia can blink the Flicker Wisp. It can get rid of our enchantments. Since we're at 29, it's going to take a minute for our opponent to kill. Oh boy, oh boy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lands out of 13 cards. Whew. That is a little floody. Just there's the Ether Vial. We haven't seen a hypergeometric calculator in a minute. It might be time. Opponent. I'm gonna blink their Ether Vial for no reason. Oh, we got our opponent to 1, but we can't get him to 0. Yeah, Wrath of the Skies is an incredible blowout for us. Well, I mean, there's a Slippery Boggle. There's a Slippery Boggle. Get it down. Forest and get back this Griffspoon. All right. I mean, we found a creature. Still, with this setup, I'm just not convinced that we can get in that last point of damage with Thalia and Flicker Wisp. Untaps. Can take up the Vial. I think if a deck like this can actually be successful, that's a sign that Modern's in a good place. If you're just like doing a bunch of little taxi stuff, blinking some stuff with your Thalia, it's a pretty fair way to play. Can't even really be upset about losing to. Also just a miserable matchup for our deck. I wasn't even thinking about Wrath of the Skies out of the sideboard, but add that in on top of all the main deck enchantment removal, and oh boy. Actually, is there a chance? Is there any chance? I think we need a top deck, but if we have a top deck, there might be a chance. Because they can blink something with Thalia, but blinking with Thalia doesn't exile anything. Because it comes back end step. We might be able to win here. I guess they can Flicker Wisp one of our lands? We could use another enchantment. So opponent has 3 toughness. They do have a Vial on 1, which could be another toughness or 2, maybe. Wow, they're going to Flicker the Thalia. Okay. Oh my god, that's a draw. Okay, so we will Rancor the Slippery Boggle. We will Hyena Umbra the Slippery Boggle. We will Ethereal Armor the Slippery Boggle. This Ether Vial is going to have to do some serious work here. An opponent scoops it up, and we got there. Whew, I thought that Wrath of the Skies had us for sure. But Slippery Boggle number 2 coming through. All right. We're still fighting and clawing. We're staying alive on a $100 budget. Actually, I guess it's like $120. What do you think the most expensive card in this deck is? Any guesses? Any guesses? You might actually know, but it's kind of funny. The most expensive card is also the newest card, and one of the lowest rarity cards, Shelter by Ghosts. Shelter by Ghosts is like $7 a copy or something. That is the most expensive card. Actually, the sideboard Veil of Summers might be like $1 more, but it's pretty close. Well, I mean, we got nothing in the sideboard. Run it back. So this deck, a few years ago, we played a mono white late pause deck as budget Magic. I feel like this is a relatively natural upgrade plan. Like, you go into 2 colors, you get a bunch of new cards. Ooh, this end with a Boggle would be sweet. It seems tough to make Light Pause be good enough here. With all their blink stuff, we gotta have a Boggle. All right, well, there's a Boggle. And I guess we get Light Pause anyway. Well, let's put one of the 2 Light Pause on the bottom. Little light on enchantments, but opponent, Shadowy Backstreet. The Sheltered by Ghost could have relevance. The ward doesn't do anything, but it is removal. I feel like Ether Vial. If we can keep an Ether Vial off the board, that's good for us. Well, there's a Shard. Ooh. Shard Mage Rescue makes Light Pause a little bit more realistic. So I think our plan is going to be to wait till land number 3, and then we can Light Pause, leave up Shard Mage's Rescue to protect it, and then White Orchid Phantom. Well, thankfully, since we're a budget deck, we have more basics than normal. Sure, it does blow up a card draw, but we'll get a Plains. Passing. Griff's Boon. Well, play the Brushland. I think we have to just Sheltered by Ghosts, right? Sheltered by Ghosts. We need an enchantment on the Boggle for the Daybreak Coronet. We don't want to run out the Light Pause yet. It's too risky. Sheltered by Ghosts, the White Orchid Phantom's a little scary just because if they start blinking this, it's going to start coming back. But we still got 3 basics in the deck, so we're not getting Stone Rained yet. White Orchid Phantom. All right, they're all about those Phantoms. The only downside of this is that it is making us less likely we draw the land we need for Light Pause. And there's the Vial. All right, how about a land? How about a land so we can do Light Pause stuff? That would be sweet. Land. Hyena Umbra. Griff's Boon, the Slippery Boggle. And get in for 4. I'm going to trade it off. Thankfully, that's the power of Hyena Umbra, right? We don't actually lose the Boggle. We just lose the Hyena Umbra, which is fine. We get a body off the battlefield. Our opponent can't blink it. We'd really just like to draw another land for this Light Pause. That's the real payoff here. Although maybe it's fine that it's slow. Maybe it's our rebuild plan after our opponent finds Wrath of the Skies. Opponent's got 8 minutes on their clock somehow. I mean, they shouldn't time out, but they're playing way slower than we are, aren't they? I guess their deck requires more thought, maybe. Opponent, Skyclave Apparition. Going to get rid of the Griff's Boon. Interesting. Passes. Land. Daybreak Coronet. Well, okay. I mean, I guess we gotta do it. Daybreak Coronet on the Slippery Boggle. Opponent gonna take it down to 13. Ooh. That makes me think they have an Ephemerate or some sort of blink shenanigan. Man, we're just never gonna get land number 3 for Light Pause, are we? I guess we could run it out. It's just so much better if we can have the Shard Mage Rescue to protect it. Opponent, Overlord of the Bailmer. So they can definitely get back the White Orchid Phantom. They get a Thalia. They get a Recruiter of the Guard. They can use the 2-drops right away because of Vial. All right, opponent's going to take the Thalia. And more Vials. All right, well, maybe we're never getting rid of the Vials. Passing. Can we draw land? Can we draw a land, please? Opponent, unimpends. It needs to make white mana, by the way. Land? Glade Cover Scout. So if we attack, they put Thalia into play. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, I mean, we're going to go to combat. We're going to attack. The Thalia should be a 1-shot at least. Yeah, we're still going to hold on to this Light Pause. Pass turn. We're up to 35. This is where it gets scary, though. Opponent. Well, hopefully Thalia is a 1-shot. If we can just block it and kill it, that's fine, although blocking is risky. The problem is they can Flicker Wisp now. They can Ephemerate. There's a lot of ways that they can blink this out and then we lose the Boggle. But if we don't block Thalia, then it's just going to keep popping off. So we probably have to try to block. Goes attacking. I mean, we have to block, right? They're going to blink the Overlord of the Bailmerk. I mean, I guess we technically don't have to block. So they're going to get back the Overlord. They can get back a Recruiter of the Guard. Ugh, this is getting bad. So if they have Ephemerate, we lose our Sheltered by Ghosts. If they have Flicker Wisp, yeah. Flicker Wisp or Ephemerate gets us. But that's going to get us in the future. Yeah, we got to do it. We got to do it. It's going to get us in the future, too. So I think we got to try to get this Thalia off the battlefield. If they got a Blink Effect, yeah, they got a Flicker Wisp. Can blink out the Daybreak Coronet. Opponent gets back White Orchid Phantom. Well, we definitely need to draw land. And the Overlord's coming back. Yeah, this is rough. Overlord with Flicker Wisp and Failure seems kind of strong, actually. Opponents, I like this deck our opponent's playing. Super fair, but it's grinding us. Even more Overlords. Well, at least they're milling a bunch of Ephemerates. Gets back a Recruiter of the Guard. Gets back their board. Gets another Overlord of the Bailmerk. So there's the Overlord. Mills a bunch of cards. Well, there goes the Wrath of the Skies. Gets back the Thalia. Oh boy, we need a land right now. Well, there's a land. Play the Light Paws. In you we trust. Pass the turn. Opponent. Vials. At 3 and 2. So we know they can Recruiter of the Guard. There's the Recruiter of the Guard. There could be a chance that Light Paws Shard Mage's Rescue can save us. It's possible. Opponent gonna go to combat. Gonna mill some cards. Get back White Orchid Phantom. What we actually need is another cheap enchantment. That's what we need the most. White Orchid Phantom. Alright, well, man, this is gonna be a blowout, isn't it? Float a mana, grab a land, but now they can go end step, and then they can Skyclave. Oh, opponent's gonna wait. Cheap enchantment. Oh, Cartouche, okay. Cartouche on the Light Paws. Opponent's gonna Vial. Going after our Light Paws. We will Shard Mage's Rescue. That'll resolve Light Paw triggers. We will take a Griff's Boon. Oh, they have flying. Okay, how do we do this? They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 toughness. They have 1 fly. They're at 8. Oh, I don't know if we can do this. Get the Ethereal Armor. Cartouche resolves. So Griff's Boon doesn't do it because we don't have Trample. So I guess we just have to take the Rancor. We Cartouche. So close. Go to combat. Opponent gonna block and block. So opponent takes 5 down to 3. We get back a Dork. Oh, there was nothing under that Skyclave. Play the Glade Cover Scout. All right, that was our big turn. Our opponent actually has to be cautious of the clock. I didn't think it would come down to this. I don't know how this matchup is taking our opponent this much time, but they actually have to be cautious of the clock because we're at 26 still. Opponent, Marsh Flats. Cracks Marsh Flats down to 2. Gets a Plains. Witch Enchanter. Interesting. Gets rid of the Rancor. That's actually great for us. Because now we have Rancor in hand that we can play with this Daybreak Coronet and the Glade Cover Scout. So losing the Rancor is not bad at all. Opponent combat. Do we chump the Overlord of the Bailmerk? Opponent mills some cards. Finds a Charming Prince, maybe? Skyclave. Yeah, that makes sense. I think we block the Overlord of the Bailmerk. The clock is our friend at the moment. So they can Skyclave to get rid of the Light Paws. Light Paws down for now. And unimpends. Well, go Glade Cover Scout. We draw Daybreak Coronet. Well, let's play the Rancor. Let's play the Daybreak Coronet. Get a Dork. Opponent, gonna Ether Vial. I think we're just gonna win this by our opponent timing out. Normally, if I know I'm 100% dead, I'll scoop. But we're not 100% dead. Our opponent's at 2 and we're at 29. And our opponent's just like, they haven't had moto troubles, as far as I know. They've just kind of like not played at a very quick pace. Yeah, I mean, not the way we drew it up, but somehow Bogles is going to play all the way through our entire deck. Opponent, Larna the third path. Going to blow up the Rancor. Oh, going to blow up the Daybreak Coronet. Okay. If you blow up the Rancor, so Daybreak Coronet, you have to have another enchantment on the creature. I think our opponent's just given up on killing us. Going to blow up the Rancor. We can actually just do the same thing again. But our opponent's problem is 7 seconds on the clock. Opponent, I guess you had to go a little faster. Attacks, triggers, and blinks, and... All right, budget Bogles. I don't know how this game's still going, number one. Like, I don't know how this game took so long. Like, this should be a very quick matchup. But for being a ridiculously bad matchup, where our opponent just has infinite answers to what we're trying to do, the deck kind of showed out. Like, we got hit by Wrath of the Skies, they got Skyclaves and Lorens and Flicker, like all this up, Witch Enchanters, it's so good against our deck. And in the end, I'm still not sure, like, it's not impossible that we actually just win with damage still. Like I said, if I know I'm just dead, I'll just scoop instead of letting the opponent time out. In this case, though, we got a Rancor, we got a Daybreak Coronet, we got a Boggle, like, it's not impossible we sneak in 2 more points of damage. So that was a wild game, but 2-0 on a $100 budget. Sweet. We're getting a little punished for the budget mana base here. Good old pathways. They are cheap, but I think we have to mulligan because of the pathway. The problem is, so if we pathway on green for Boggle, we just can't play our enchantments. Yeah, maybe it'll end up for the... Oh god. Oh no. So we can put the forest to the bottom. In Audacity? Well, hopefully we draw land number 2, so we can play the Sheltered by Ghost, but turn 1 Boggle, turn 2 something, see what happens, see what our opponent's up to. Sacred Foundry and Ragavan. All right, that's annoying. That's not a land. Well, let's play Slippery Boggle and pass turn. So we're gonna have to take a Ragavan hit here, unfortunately. It's us. Nah, cannot stop it. Oh, is this energy? It might just be energy. Opponent steals a Shard Mage's Rescue. Well, that's kind of okay. It is very good with Light Paws, but at this point, we really want land number 2. That's our best draw by far. Opponent, Guide of Souls, so definitely energy. Opponent passes. Land? No. Spirit Mantle. Play Ethereal Armor. Go. Actually, no, we're going to stay on defense. We're going to stay on defense for now. We don't really want to get hit by Ragavan again. Opponent, Failure. So now our opponent can attack and blink out the Ethereal Armor. Wow, so many Failures today. Yeah, blinks out the Ethereal Armor. So we get hit by the Ragavan again. Yeah, this is not great. Opponent. Yeah, Failure is annoying for our deck. The Shelter by Ghost can get rid of the Failure and let us start gaining back life, but we need a land for it, and we need it quick. Rankers up the Ragavan. And Goblin Bombardment. All right, deck. All right, deck. And a Surveil land. This would be a nice turn to draw a land. If we don't draw a land, we're in the same predicament next turn and getting close to dead. All right, Pathway. We're going to put it on white. And then 1/2, Sheltered by Ghosts on the Slippery Boggle. Get rid of this Failure, which is a nightmare. Wow, opponent is going to sack it. Okay, well, that means it's not under the Sheltered by Ghosts, at least. I don't like this Ragavan triggering, but if we stay on defense, it is risky. Because eventually they're just going to send stuff to the air anyway. Yeah, I think we gotta get in. We gotta get in and hit you. I guess Ragavan's just going to do its thing. Get in for 4, go back up to 16, hit you to 14. Opponent, Gianni. Well, that's not good for us, that's for sure. Gonna trigger the Guide of Souls, trigger the Guide of Souls. So we're taking, what, 7 steals, Light Paws. So they can flip the Ajani if they want to. You're gonna play the Light Paws, gain an energy. Well, for being on the mold of 5, we put up a fight. I don't think that fight's gonna end with the victory. Actually, we just dead. Ajani's so busted. Oh, so we're literally dead. I do not know what Wizards was thinking when they designed when they designed these energy cards. Oh, Watsy brain. Watsy brain. It's a rare affliction that only affects designers of Modern Horizon sets, and they convince themselves that it's a good idea to bring back energy and push it to the max. And then they decide, even better, that they're going to bring it back to standard. Well, I mean, we got nothing in the sideboard for this matchup. I don't know if this is, I mean, it's Boros Energy. It's the monster of the format. I don't know if this is a good matchup or not. Well, okay. Boggletron, but no lands. This hand with lands would have been good. This hand, 1 land, we got to keep it though. Yeah, I mean, we're going to keep it. We'll put a Light Pause to the bottom. It's annoying that they got Failure. Like, the blink synergies are obnoxious. Well, okay. Very similar to last game where we really got to hope we draw land number 2. If we do draw land number 2, then this hand's not bad. If we don't draw land number 2, it's going to be sad times. Opponent. Well, that is land number 2. Yeah, let's not go Max Greed. I was thinking about just playing Light Paws, but it's probably better just to run out the Ethereal Armor. Run out the Hyena Umbra. The reason to do it this way is Daybreak Coronet. If we run out the Light Paws here, then we can't Daybreak Coronet next turn, and we really want to be able to Daybreak Coronet next turn. And then we can wait and play Light Paws a little later. Opponent, Johnny. It's a good card. It is a good one. But we have a good Boggle going, and the Boggle's going to start gaining us life. So it's going to depend on our opponent having answers to that. Opponent gets in with the Guide of Souls, hits us, down to 16. Hyena Umbra, well, ouch and also ouch, but we will Daybreak Coronet on the Boggle. So opponent can block with the cat and flip. Thankfully, there's no Goblin Bombardment. If our opponent could block and sack and fizzle a life gain, that would be very obnoxious. All right, well, Johnny flips. Static Prison. Going after what? Going after the Daybreak Coronet. And a Johnny, gonna make a cat and make some energy. Getting in with the Guide of Souls. Presumably gonna pump it. Yeah. We lost our life gain, which is awkward. We were kind of counting on that. Opponent has the land passes. Ooh, Sheltered by Ghosts. So we can Sheltered by Ghosts the cat token, attack a Johnny. We can Sheltered by Ghosts the Guide of Souls, but then a Johnny lives. We can Sheltered by Ghosts a Johnny. I think we Sheltered by Ghosts on the Slippery Boggle. Get rid of the cat token. And I think we got to kill the Johnny, or attempt to kill the Johnny. What was it? Oh, it worked. Okay. I was afraid they were going to flash in like a Thalia or something, but all right. Back up to 24. A Johnny's dealt with for now. Eventually, we're going to draw another land, and then we can consider doing Light Pause shenanigans. I mean, that's a pretty good Boggle. It's getting there. I wish we could have gotten rid of the Guide of Souls. Like, Guide of Souls is super busted, but a Johnny's also super busted, so more Johnnies. All right, they just keep it coming. Gonna make some energy and make some energy. As long as they don't find a Goblin Bombardment, we can kind of race, or at least attempt to. Opponent, I'm gonna get in for 3. We draw a Pathway. I imagine they're going to flip a Johnny. Yeah. So a Johnny flips. Do we Light Pause? So we can Light Pause Hyena Umbra. What are we getting, though, is the question. Like, what's worth tutoring up? We can't get anything that protects it. We just get, like, a Cartouche, Ethereal Armor. Could get, like, a Rancor. That might be good, because then if Rancor dies, we can get it and put it on the Boggle. Let's do that. Hopefully they don't have a way to kill this at instant speed. We will see. So let's play Light Pause. I would assume they sideboarded out Galvanic Discharges, but maybe not. Okay, Resolves. That is also a bit of protection. And now we can get a Rancor. And this means if the Light Pause dies, we get back the Rancor, put it on the Boggle to get in more damage. Thalia. All right, that's pretty annoying. Opponent. Got to pay for the Static Prison. And the Ajani's going. So they can just blink out the Light Pause. We do get back the Rancor. I mean, I guess even if this Light Pause just goes away, getting a Rancor out of it was pretty good. That might be enough. Maybe. Yeah, Thalia is super awkward for this deck. Opponent land. 1 card left in hand. Cracks it. Another Surveil land. They can't really send Thalia to the air, or else they lose the Static Prison. Oh, now they can. All right, Ocelot Pride. All right, gonna keep getting worse. Opponent gains a life, gains an energy. They're out of cards at the moment. They surveilled to the graveyard, so it's a blind draw. Also notable, no red permanent for a Johnny, so no damage. I'm gonna make a cat to make some energy and gain some life. So Thalia's gonna blink the Static Prison. Interesting choice. Okay, so they blink the Static Prison. We get back a Daybreak Coronet on the Slippery Boggle. We take our beats, because Light Pause can't block it. I guess they're going to Static Prison the Light Pause? Is that even that good? I guess it gives them more energy, so they're going to keep sending stuff to the air. Could really use, like, another Ethereal Armor or something. Opponent gonna make a bunch of tokens, gain a bunch of life. Just, little Guide of Souls things. Sure. So opponent up to 21. Thalia gonna return the Static Prison. Gonna snipe the Light Pause for now. All right. Well, we're gonna get back our Rancor. And Forest. Play the Forest. Sack the Horizon Canopy. And Rancor up the Slippery Boggle. I mean, we get to attack for 13. The question is, a Johnny or face? Oh, we probably gotta kill a Johnny, right? It's just gonna keep doing more things. So kill a Johnny, gain 13. Up to 32. Can they find an answer to this? I don't know how this ends. This is so awkward. We need our opponent to whiff a little bit. How about a little whiffing? Drew something. Ugh, Goblin Bombardment. Okay, well, at least we have the Rancor on the Slippery Boggle. That helps. Actually, this should probably just Static Prison away the Rancor. That's actually insane for them. Give us back the Light Pause. Oh, they're just going to blink the Goblin Bombardment? All right, sure. So the opponent blinks the Bombardment. Hits us for a bunch. Down to 21. Ocelot Pride going to do its thing. Get back the Goblin Bombardment. Well, Slippery Boggle versus the World. Opponent gains more life, We draw. Well, Ethereal Armor's pretty good. Let's play another Ethereal Armor. 2017, First Strike, Lifelink, Vigilance, Trample, Ward 2, opponent. Chump blocking doesn't really do anything. We have a Trample here. Well, play the Gladecover Scout, pass the turn. I think what our opponent needs to do, and we'll see if they see the line, but the line that wins them this game is Thalia, blink the Static Prison, give us back the Light Pause, get rid of the Rancor, and then they can block us kind of forever with their tokens, right? They just block and sack. And we need to find another source of evasion, another ranker to really be able to close out the game. So I think that's what they need to do here. We'll see if they see it. Opponent attacks, attacks, attacks. It is funny because Light Pause is in a vacuum the way stronger card. It's a scary card. All right, they're going to blink them. I think we might win then. I think this might work. So opponent blinks. They're going to gain a bunch of life. They're going to go up to 14. All right, yeah, opponent goes up to 14. We drop to 27. Ocelot Pride, gonna make 1,000,000 cats. How about one more Ethereal Armor? That'd be sweet. So cats and life. Oh, this Guide of Souls. Yeah, so maybe we don't actually get to kill them this turn because of Guide of Souls. Guide of Souls. Valia, gonna bring back the bombardment. Some good? No. Razor Verge Thicket. Well, go to combat. Get in with the Slippery Boggle. So gonna soak up a bit of damage. Down to 5. We're up to 47. This game! We have a 20 power lifelinking trampler, and I'm still not convinced that we actually win this. Like, I think our opponent might still just be winning this race. Guide of Souls, can send the other Ocelot Pride to there. Gonna blink the bombardment, alright. Well, at least they're still not seeing or choosing not to take the get rid of ranker line. Alright, opponent hits us for a bunch. Blinks out the bombardment. Opponent makes 1,000,000 cats, gains 1,000,000 life. We need a Shelter by Ghost would be good. Another Ethereal Armor would be good. Makes a ton of cats. I'm not sure these 3 1-drops should be able to make this much power every turn. Watsy Braid. Oh boy, we draw nothing. Yeah, drawing nothing is less than optimal here. We really need something because this is, in the long term, we are not winning this. Like, our opponent's outscaling us at the moment, and sooner or later they will draw a way to get rid of something, and then we just straight up die. The Slippery Boggle's keeping us around, and it is big, but we need to not just keep drawing lands. Gonna do a little blocking with their silly cats. So we go up to 49. We murder some cats. Opponent goes to 5 or 6, 4. All right. Well, pass the turn. Untaps. Static Prison. I mean, we've done our job. It's wild that this is not enough to win the game. I mean, I think this is actually... All right. Fable the Mirror Breaker. Oh, that's insane. Because of the Ocelot Prides. Oh, dear. I think this is actually a pretty good testament to just how absurd energy is. They have been taking a 2017 Trampler that they can't kill with lifelink to the face every turn, and they're still just winning. Like, they're fine with that. They are just soaking up 20 a turn, and like, whatever, we don't care. And now this is going to get even worse, because they're going to make a ton of these Goblin tokens to go along with a ton of these Cat tokens. Opponent gets back to Fable the Mirror Breaker, makes even more tokens. So they're going to make, what, like 100 goblins or something? And gain like 100 life? Yeah, I guess that just does it. It is insane to me that this is not enough to kill someone in Modern, but it's not enough to kill someone in Modern. Slippery Boggle. Oh, this is the biggest Slippery Boggle we've had all league, too. And it is just, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It's a ridiculous amount of energy. It's a ridiculous amount of life. We draw a Hyena Umbra. Well, look out, opponent. Whatever you're going to do now that we have 2 of these. Another Hyena Umbra. Go to combat. At this point, drawing something doesn't matter. That's the issue. A few turns ago, if we had drawn like a Shelter by Ghost or something, we could get rid of maybe a Guide of Souls that would be relevant, something like that. But at this point, what do you say? What do you say? What do you do? I don't think there's a card in our deck that just like changes anything here. Our best draw is what? Shelter by Ghost, maybe another Ethereal Armor. But our opponent's just board is so big now that I don't think it matters. We're at 51 and it feels like we're just getting crushed. Opponent. Yeah, how about another Guide of Souls? Why not? Another Johnny. Yeah, I think that's probably enough now to call it a day. I mean, I guess we'd make them actually kill us for the sake of viewership, but I think that Johnny is what does it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 19, 20, 21, 22. Like the Johnny deals like 23 damage by itself. Actually, I think we are just dead because of the bombardment, right? So they hit us for all this, flip the Ajani us, Goblin bombardment us, yeah. Wow. Energy. Still thing. Watsy Braid. Watsy Brain for the win. Well, okay, we're still doing good, though. I don't know why this concession did not work. Hey, there we go. It finally figured it out. So, still doing good. Still doing good with Budget Boggles. Although, I will say, this match was a little bit depressing. Because we did our thing. But it turns out that our one drop from 20 years ago, just not quite the same as the one drops from last year. But that's all right. We're still on track to feed the kids. So, we'll get there. $100 Boggles in Modern, and we gotta mulligan this because we don't have a Boggle. Only having one land, little bit sketchy. Sounds kind of weird. So we have the Glade Cover Scout, which is good. The problem is we don't really have anything to go with it. Opponent Watery Grave, and this is the Boggles nightmare. This is the one thing you do not want to see happen. This is literally the one thing you do not want to see happen. This is one of the biggest downsides of Boggles overall, is if you lose the die roll and your opponent has Thoughtseize, it's real bad. It's real bad. Because you usually only have one creature in your hand. And if you lose that creature to Thoughtseize, you might not do anything for ever. For a very, very, very long time. Opponent cycles a Street Wraith down to 14. Well, let's draw a creature. How about a creature? I vote creature. Rancor. Well, planes go. Bogart, Bog, and a Death Shadow. Well, how about a creature? What about a creature? A Boggle. All right, Razorbird's Thicket, go. Yeah, this is what happens when you lose the die roll and get Thoughtseize with Boggles. Bound it down to 8, grows the Death Shadow. We might have to sack the Rising Canopy here, just out of desperation. It's not good, but if you got a Bowmaster, you got a Bowmaster. Like, we gotta do something. Daybreak Coronet, not a creature. Creature. Forest, not a creature. Yeah, we have 12 creatures in the deck. 8 of them are Boggles. Getting in. Hitting us. Opponent passes. Well, there's a Glade Cover Scout. Does it resolve? Pretty late to the party. Drown in the lock. Yeah. Getting in for 5. Well, this is it. We need to do something this turn or this Death Shadow just takes us down. Creature? Sheltered by Ghosts. Yeah. As much as I don't like losing that way, probably is a good thing that happened because it does show the importance of Leyline of Sanctity in the sideboard. It does show the importance of Leyline of Sanctity and also Veil of Summer, although I don't know how many we can bring in realistically. I don't know if we can bring in both. Most importantly, we're going to be on the play this game anyway. So if we have our Boggle, we can play it before we get Thoughtseize. Well, all right. Sounds actually pretty good. We have the Leyline and the Boggle. Leyline also has the upside of shutting down. We got to lead on the Rising Canopy so we can double white spell next turn. Also has the upside of shutting down Edict effects, most of them. Any that target opponent Misty Rainforest. Well, play the Rising Canopy. Ethereal Armor. Play the Hyena Umbra. The downside of this is we're going to be turning on this Death Shadow pretty quick, down to 15. So they can actually just Death Shadow next turn if they want to. And we don't have Evasion at the moment. But this is a much better start. We could use like a little life gain. Maybe a Daybreak Coronet. Maybe a Sheltered by Ghost. Something like that would be real nice. Water Grave for opponent down to 12. And Psychic Frog. So many Boggles. So many Boggles. So if we attack, they discard their hand and all they kill is the Hyena Umbra. That seems pretty worth it. They have to discard what? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're gonna do it. Since we're only risking the Hyena Umbra, it seems worth. Found it. All right, you're gonna discard their hand. 1 card, 2 cards, 3 cards, 4 cards. All right, so opponent discards 4. They kill the Hyena Umbra. We will play another Slippery Boggle. And I think while our opponent's tapped out, we're just gonna sack Horizon Canopy so we don't get Bowmastered. All right, draw land, pass the turn. Still not sure if we beat this frog. This game we've drawn too many Boggles. You don't want to draw too few Boggles, or that's bad. But you also don't want to draw too many Boggles, because then you don't have enough enchantments to put on your Boggles. And without the enchantments, they're kind of just 1/1s. Opponent, Death Shadow. Speaking of 1/1s, Death Shadow. Speaking of 1/1s. Big draw, big draw. The Great Boggle Flood of 2025. Well, let's play the Brushland, sack the Horizon Canopy, play a Slippery Boggle, pass the turn. I was thinking about attacking, but we can't like Griff's Boom plus Ethereal Armor next turn. So even if we draw an Ethereal Armor, I don't think we can get lethal. Opponent gonna get in with the frog. Well, I mean, we're taking our beats down to 6. Opponent passes. We draw. God, so many slippery Bogles. I love you, buddy. I love you, but good lord, this is a little excessive. All right, sure, fair enough, Death Shadow, fair enough. So, technically, this is a 6 match I played with the deck. I had one where I had some video recording issues, and it was a 2nd match against Amir anyway that we already played, so this is round 5. Technically 6, but let's play Slippery Boggle. Get in there. I mean, we got Ethereal Armor and Hyena Umbra. Opponent, Golgari Ether Vial, interesting. I was gonna say the only thing we really need is evasion, and well, that's some evasion. Let's play this on white. Ethereal Armor. You know what, let's go Hyena Umbra just to be super safe. Hyena Umbra, get in for 4. Down to 16. Opponent, taking up the Vial. What is Vial with Blooming Marsh? What deck is this? Burn Catacombs for our opponent. Snow-covered Forest, and Strangle Rootgeist. Opponent staying on defense, not gonna work though. We're gonna play Razorbird's Thicket. We will Sentinel's Eyes, the Slippery Boggle, and Ranker up the Slippery Boggle, and 9 ya. And opponent, down to 6. Well, this is it, opponent. Kill us, kill our Boggle, do something. Because Slips is coming for you. The tongue out. Why is the tongue out? Why is the tongue out, Dave? Why, Dave Allsop? Why? About it. Passing. We draw nothing. Well, let's play Horizon Canopy. Let's sack Horizon Canopy. See if we can draw something. Got a Bowmaster? No, but we got another Ranker. All right, let's Ranker it up. And opponent. Done diddly done. What is our opponent playing? Are they just playing a brew? Ether Vial, but with Golgari and Strangle Root, guys. Is this a thing? Is this a net deck? I gotta look this up. I gotta see. Am I playing against Richard? That's a real question. All right, let's go back a couple months. Is anyone playing Strangle Root Geist in Modern and having wins with it? Oh. That makes sense. Okay, it's Yogg. And just like a weird Yogg draw. They drew their one of, that makes sense. It works like a Young Wolf. So it's just a strange draw from Yogg. Well, I mean, I guess we bring in the ley lines. Go down the Cartouche. Go down Sentinel's Eyes. Maybe Alpha Authority? Veil of Summer, Gaddock. Yeah, let's run like that. Come on, let's get this win. Well, we got the ley line, but nothing to go with it. Gonna have to mulligan that one. This hand's actually kind of wonderful. I think we just put Light Paws to the bottom. I mean, I think our plan is Glade Cover Scout, double Ethereal Armor, Shelter Ghosts. Hope you die. Opponent is on the play this game, which is good for them. They're also mulliganing a lot. I don't know what they're looking for specifically, but Overgrown Tomb for our opponent. Ether Vial, sure. Keeping the Ether Vial on the big mull. Well, that's Brushland and Slippery Boggle's best friend, Glade Cover Scout. You. Opponent. Taking up the Vial. Ooh, passing. Okay. Well, slightly new plan here. Sheltered by Ghost, the Glade Cover Scout. If our opponent kept a 1-lander leaning on this Ether Vial, I feel like answering the Ether Vial is probably pretty good. Force of Vigor, okay. Opponent really wants to keep their... yeah, we can't even attack here. Really wants to keep their Ether Vial, which makes sense. We'll see if we're fast enough. Opponent taking up the Vial. The Force of Vigor was huge for our opponent. Another so many Ether Vials. Well, we will play Horizon Canopy. We will play a Ethereal Armor on the Glade Cover Scout. And then we will Ethereal Armor on the Glade Cover Scout. And then we will Griff's Boon on the Glade Cover Scout. H-ya in the air. Wow! Okay, opponent. Force of Vigor. 0 cards in hand, 1 land on the battlefield. But our opponent is staying alive. Unfortunately, staying alive. Windswept Teeth for our opponent. We draw Hyena Umbra. Well, we will Hyena Umbra, the Glade Cover Scout. Opponent definitely found their sideboard cards. 2 Force of Vigors. Well, get in for 3. Our opponent's definitely not very close to comboing, though. They spend a lot of resources. Slippery Boggle. I imagine they can get a Dryad Arbor with this, so we got to keep that in mind for attacking and blocking purposes. Opponent taking up their Vials. I mean, Yogg does need multiple cards to win. It's not just going to play one big thing that beats us. Opponent passes. Aura? All right, Ranker works. Let's Ranker up the Glade Cover Scout. Go to combat, attack, and opponent scoops it up. And that was clean. That was real clean. Through double force of vigor. I don't know if the kids are technically eating or not because of that one other loss, but I mean, overall we went 3-3 with Budget Bogles, which is pretty reasonable and doubly so. And doubly so considering that it's all just $100, right? Like for spending $100 on a deck, I feel like this deck worked pretty well. In Modern, it's just gotten so expensive. Like compared to when we first started doing Budget Magic forever ago, decks are just like super costly. I guess Modern decks have always been expensive, but being able to have success with a $100 deck, I think that's a good spot to be. So this deck, a little wrap up. I mean, it's Bogles, right? We played late pause Bogles forever ago, years ago at this point. Similar strategy, play hexproof stuff, load it up with stuff. The big deal is really Sheltered by Ghosts. I think this is the game changer as far as this deck, giving us a removal spell that works with the theme of our deck and has the upside of giving lifelink. It's an absurd card. It is deserving of its super high price tag for an uncommon. It's so incredibly good in the deck. If you want to pick up the deck, and I talked about this throughout the video, first off, you got to have the Boggle, right? Like, please don't keep hands without the Boggle. We got to see the game where we got Thought Seized on turn 1 when we were on the draw and our opponent took our Glade Cover Scout or our Boggle, whatever it was, and we just drew auras the rest of the game and never cast a spell. That's what happens if you keep hands without Boggles. So don't keep a hand without Boggles. I'm not even sure that you can keep a hand where Light Pause is your only creature. Honestly, I think Light Pause was maybe the least impressive card in this deck. Not that it's bad, and we did get to see it do things in one game, but somehow at 2 mana, it's kind of expensive, especially since ideally we want to be able to play it and then immediately play at least 1 aura to get value out of it. So we kind of need 3 mana, and that's actually kind of tough for our deck sometimes. Like getting up to 3 mana is not a given in a 19 land deck. So I'm actually not sure how good Light Pause actually is in this deck. I do think we need another creature, right? This could be Light Pause. It used to be Core Spirit Dancer, although Core Spirit Dancer kind of weak against Orcish Bowmaster. So there's some other options that could be worth exploring, I guess, in the Light Pause slot. Obviously, if Light Pause sticks, it's really, really good. And it also lets us play some of these one-of auras like Alpha Authority and Cartouche, because Light Pause only gets something that has a different name than what we already got. So playing like 1 Audacity, it's a cool way we can like have our anchor on the battlefield and still snag the Audacity with Light Pause. So that's the card I'm least sold on. But overall, like, the game plan's still pretty reasonable. I think the meta's in a weird place. We got to see some matchups where the deck felt really solid and our opponent really couldn't deal with it. But then we also got to see like that black-white Thalia Blink deck, which we ended up somehow winning because our opponent timed out. And I don't know how that game would have ended, but it felt like a really tough matchup. We got Wrath of Skies in one match, which was pretty brutal. And then we had that energy match where I don't even know what to say about that. We built a 20 power Boggle really quickly, but our opponent's Guide of Souls and Ocelot Prides just like outscaled it. We were gaining 20 and hitting for 20 a turn, and our opponent was like, whatever, like, sure, we'll take it and just make a bunch of cats and gain a bunch of life. And like, they actually just outraced us somehow with us having a 20/20 lifelinker. So I don't even know what to say, but I think the deck, it's pretty sweet. If you like protecting your little dorks and making your opponent not be able to touch your stuff, it's not a bad option, I don't think, for a $100 budget deck. Can you go in 5-0 with it? I mean, the upgrading mana base would be the biggest thing. One thing I did want to mention, the mana base is very functional. We're a 19 land deck. We don't want to draw a ton of lands. So yes, sometimes we're going to get stuck on 1 or 2 lands, especially since we got a mulligan a lot. That's not a budget thing. The only time the mana base is really troubling, or the primary time that the budget mana base actually is a little painful, is if we run into like Blood Moons, Harbinger of the Seas, stuff like that. With a non-budget mana base, we can play around those cards pretty easily by fetching out basics. With this budget mana base, you're just going to get got. Like if someone just goes turn 3 Blood Moon, turn 3 Harbinger of the Seas, unless you just randomly happen to draw one of the basics, you probably just die, but that's like a pretty small percentage thing, right? Not that many people are playing those cards, but it is worth keeping in mind that's the one place that the mana base kind of will cause losses that otherwise you wouldn't have gotten. On the other hand, just as far as like casting our spells and being consistent. I think we had one game where we had to mulligan because we had a pathway and we couldn't have green and white mana, and it was our only land. But really, the mana base, for being super cheap, was pretty effective. And the deck itself, like, it's kind of funny. If you look at the deck, it's like $120, and like 50 of those bucks are these two uncommons here. Like Veil of Summer, Sheltered by Ghosts, actually the most expensive cards in the deck. Sheltered by Ghosts, you might already have from standard, but don't cut it. It's so incredible for this deck. Having an enchantment that also is a removal spell is so good. And then Veil of Summer, honestly, you probably can cut it. Like, play another Leyline, maybe. Like, Veil of Summer is not going to be... Leyline's not going to be as helpful against counter spells, but as far as discard, Leyline's probably just better a lot of the times. So I think you could get away with cutting the Veil of Summers. That was the one last thing I wanted to mention. We did not get a lot of use out of our sideboard, and I'm not sure if that means we should build a different sideboard or if it was just the matchups we hit. There's matchups where Gaddock Teeg is a ridiculous bomb. There's matchups where Collector Roof's a bomb. Same with our other stuff. Veil of Summer, Leyline, that's for protection. Leyline of Void for graveyard decks. We just didn't really hit the matchups where our sideboard cards were needed. I could see maybe you play 2 Collector Roofs, 2 Gaddock Teegs, play a little bit of removal, couple of pass, just have a little bit more removal. But if one more note about picking up the deck, if you do decide to play it, mulligan for the Boggle, number 1. Number 2, don't sideboard too heavily, because like we talked about during the league, you can run into that burn rest in peace problem where you end up sideboarding out too many of your threats, too many of your payoffs for these sideboard cards that seem good in the matchup, but then you end up being, an enchantment short of buffing your Boggle for lethal, and you lose because of it. So light touch with sideboarding. As you saw in our games, we mostly brought in a maximum of 3 cards, and we had multiple matchups where we literally sideboarded in nothing and just straight up ran it back. So anyway, that is Budget Boggles. $100, $120 technically. That's our budget magic for this week. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the modern action, and I will talk to you soon.